Hello viewers, this is the Mercedes-Benz G63, better known to everyone as the gold standard of off-roading performance, style and luxury. So starting on the exterior of this car, of course it's a G-Wagon. And just to show you how tall this car is, I'm around 5'7", 5'8". And just look at how tall this car is compared to me. I mean, I literally have to stand on the side so just to touch the top. But of course, why a lot of people love this car is just how the general design is. It's radical, it's old school. People just don't make cars like this anymore, except for maybe the Ford Bronco. But that has become more rounded as time has gone on. And as you can see, it's a very straight car with a lot of straight lines. I mean, there's not much of angles that are rounded, except for the wheel arches and maybe the wheels. But other than that, this is such a perpendicular car that driving it fast is probably very, very scary. And also another thing I wanted to talk about is just how it has G55 wheels, but yet it's a G63. You expect the more higher trim level to have a more upmarket wheel. Driving this car is like driving a building basically, because of just how straight it is on the sides and in front. And we actually come over here to the windows. Most car windows are actually straight, are actually rounded in the design. But this thing is just so flat, it just passes air more easier than it should. But if you actually compare it to a Chevy right here, you can actually just see how radical of a design it is. You know, this is more rounded, there's more of a curvaceous design, and you can just see just how much people enjoy a more boxier car that comes from Minecraft.
Okay guys, we are now looking at the front of the car. Firstly, I want to speak about how thin this car actually is. This car is very thin, yet very tall, as Eugene said earlier, like a building. But firstly, we're going to move now to the engine, where I'd like to cover the fact that there's a plaque of pure AMG-ness. Merck has put a plaque of the name of the German engine maker, the mechanic or the engineer who made this engine specifically, as each of these AMG motors of top quality and hand built and take many months to build singular engines. Obviously nowadays they've gone to high technology where more machines are based, but still people in the actual crafting and making of the engine. This is a G63, of course, as we have said. It comes with a bi-turbo V8, which in this generation is a 5.5 litre, which lasted from around 2014, 2012 to around 2018, where they then moved to a more powerful, more efficient, less capacity 4 litre V8. So in this motor, precisely the 5.5 litre bi-turbo V8, we have 536 horsepower, around 400 kilowatts of power, and 560 foot-pounds of torque. Being the top model of the generation of the G-Class and G63, it comes with all-wheel drive, a very good system for such a big, heavy, million-ton car that is shaped like a pure Minecraft building or some other weird 2-year-old design. But it's still able to produce a 0 to 100 time of around 4.5, maybe even sometimes sub 4.5 seconds. Okay guys, we are now inside of the G63 G-Wagon, and obviously this being such a premier Merc, such a upstandard, high developed Mercedes-Benz, on the inside it is still good quality, good German quality generally. And I say generally, we will get to that point now. Even though on the outside and the exterior it might not be everyone's cup of tea, but the interior, it does still have leather handles and soft touch on top of the dash, on top of the sides. It has good leather stitching, a diamond shaped stitching, just like on the seats. You can see on each of the seats has diamond style stitching. The seats are all of very high quality, and generally the interior is also very good quality, got a very soft touch roof. And we can move to the steering wheel. The steering wheel's very nice to hold. It's got a nice grip, a nice position for your hand, and is also of very high quality, obviously being a G-Class. And I will just say that sitting inside here isn't the greatest. The car feels very slim, feels like you're almost secluded, sucked into the car, like there's not much space to move around, and in general there's just lacking a bit of space if you're used to more wide stance cars such as the Porsche or an Audi or X5 for instance. And we can see here you've got all your controls on the actual armrests, whether it be for seating, for your windows and other displays, You've got your on-call and volume, video, all of that type of stuff for your dash surrounding, where you have a very analog style dash sensory and clogs. And as you can see, it's just generally a really good quality car. You have all your settings over here. You have your off-road, your phones, your locks for when you want to go off-road, and this car performs really well off-road, as this is what it was based around and made off. And then you've got your very well kept, very well made little gear knob there, obviously made by AMG for Mercedes here. And then we can move to just some issues with the car. And firstly, we want to talk about the tiny infotainment screen that isn't actually the nicest to touch. It's got a very plasticky, it's very old school, very old style, not very modern at all. And if you just look at some of the buttons and the plasticky feel, if you feel, yeah, this has no tension in it at all. It's a bit finicky, a bit playful, but too playful, you could say, and not as nice as what you'd think of a G63 G-Wagon should be inside. But generally I would say that the actual interior isn't too bad. You've got all your little buttons, your low range, your drive. You've got some storage space there for say the keys. And then obviously inside here in the cubby hold, there's a long space down, almost suited for the actual exterior of the G-Class. If you were to put a small G-Class in there, it would fit very well. And you've got your space for your charging ports, you've got your space, there's your handbrake, you've got the little devices for your cooling and aircon. Also, I must say, it's a bit plasticky, I don't know if you can hear that. But yeah, the general interior isn't too bad. The seating's quite comfortable, the seating position's quite comfortable. But other than that, this centerpiece here with the buttons, the plastic, it's just not as upmarket as what you expect from a G63.
But then I also wanted to touch on two things. Since this is a G-Wagon, you have that upright position where you feel like you are the king of the road. I mean, looking out here, even that Chevy Captiva over there, it's a normal size SUV, and this just feels like you're on another whole planet. You're like an emperor. And the second thing I also wanted to touch on, since this is an off-roading car and it is a G-Wagon, it comes with a bar, so we have to test it out. Very, very hard and very, very sturdy. Let's actually head into the back. So sitting back here, we're both in the back seat. I just wanted to touch on the general space of this car. When you get inside, I kid you not, I swear the back seats are actually higher than the front seats themselves. I mean, this is literally the size, well, not the size, but the height of the front seat. And this is the height from the floor from the back seat. So I literally feel like I'm sitting even higher than what the front seat passengers are seeing. But sitting back here, it feels a tiny bit cramped because, well, this is a boxy SUV, so you do get that cramped nature. But people who are probably over 6 foot would have plenty of headroom, still get the same material that you get in the front. But in general, this is not really the best place to sit if you're here for maybe 5 or 6 hours, or considering the fuel consumption of this car, I don't know why you would drive it for 6 hours. But then Matteo also wanted to touch on the general quality back here as well.
And so now we come to the back infotainment screens that you get on the G63. Obviously, as I've mentioned, it is the top of the range Merc. It's a premium high level Mercedes, and it comes then with 2 TV screens at the back for your children to watch movies, videos. You can connect a PlayStation or something similar up towards this so that you can play it while you're sitting in the back seats. I will say that it might not be comfortable to do that, even watching a movie on this system, just because you sit so high that you have to look down at the TV screen like this. And then just the general quality is very old-fashioned, plasticky quality in the actual, or of the actual TV screens on the back here. And then we can move to just the general, like Eugene said, the space in here isn't very spacious. You feel cramped. My legs against the door, sitting in a normal position. My arms are touching against the seatbelt peak. And then we can also move to the speakering system, which they actually have in the back of the seats. And this being a G-Class, it has heated seats, has vibration in the seats for the front drivers, and then comes with quite a decent speakering system, probably around 6 to 8 speakers, and yeah, being in the back, so that you in the back seats get as much glory from the music you're listening to or whatever you're listening to in the back seats as well. And then we can touch just on the general quality in the back. This being the G-Class is also very good quality in the back. The seats are of high quality. They all have the diamond airy stitching inside. But It's really just the space that's an issue inside of the car. I'm now sitting in the back of this glorious G63, and now we can just start to speak about the general size and the materials used inside the back end or rear end of the G63. We can start off over here, where somehow they have given just a random leather patch with the diamond stitching, obviously going along with the rest of the theme of the car, and then the rest being soft touch plastic and hard plastic in between and around all areas here. So this might not be the best if you want to take your animal, your dog or something with, as they could scratch and damage this leather here. So then we move to the back end, where actually it is not as spacious as you'd think. It's more spacious upright than going horizontally, and this is generally just because this is such a thin car. The rear wheel hub pieces stick out quite far, so you lose out on quite a bit of capacity and size in the general back area, and the back doesn't go very far out either, and so there's just not a lot of storage space within here. And then I want to also have a touch on just the general quality inside of the car. You see here there's a bit of plastic movement within the sides here. All the back ends are all very plasticky around here, and this carbon material isn't bad. This will be okay for if you want to bring your dogs, if you have something rough, you're going out on a camping trip or something like that. But I'm not the most impressed with all the general plasticky styled exterior bits on the inside of it. And also this to me just seems like a bit of a waste of material and unnecessary to have in the back end, especially, as I said, if you have something sharp in the back, if you have some sort of animal that you're taking with you, it has a possibility of damaging the actual material here, which you would not like. Obviously, being a G63, being a big G-Wagon, it comes with a big cabinet for your spare wheel, all made out of solid metal, good material to hold in, with a big Mercedes emblem, obviously to show people that you drive a Mercedes. You then have your AMG sticking here to show that it's not just the standard G-Class, but of an AMG relevance. And then I want to just touch on the general sound and noises that come from closing each of the doors, each of the pieces, and it sounds very clingy. It's a very mechanical type of style car. All the handles are very hard, very rough. You have to force the doors closed. All the doors are very heavy and take a bit of effort to open and close. You have to press the button in quite deep, open it, and have to slam everything closed to make sure it's closed. And as you can see here, this is the locking system within the car. Very old school, very mechanical, very rugged style locking.
What do we conclude about the G-Wagon? I absolutely love this car. I mean, if I was a millionaire, I would just hop in and just drive it all day, every day. But then again, it does come with its cons, because again, this is more of an agricultural car. Although most people these days don't even buy it for the agricultural sense, they mainly buy it for the status that it has as a flashy looking boxy SUV. But I love it. Material prefers other SUVs such as the Kai GTS that we had a couple weeks back. But this is an amazing car. If you come down to Infinite Auto Group, it is not for sale. And thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Always read the comments. I do read your comments, you guys. Thanks for watching. See you next time.